Chapter 5, Coal and Petroleum. Part 1, Introduction. In this chapter, we use various materials for our basic needs. Some of them are found in the nature and some have been made by the human efforts. That means here we are talking about the burning fuels which we are using in our day-to-day life. For example, petrol, diesel, kerosene, gas, CNG, all these things are basically we are using for our burning fuels, we can say. Here, air, water, soil, minerals, etc. are obtained from the nature. They are called natural resources. Here, natural resources can be broadly classified into two various kinds. First, inexhaustible natural resource, and second, exhaustible natural resource. Let's see. Inexhaustible natural resources. So what is inexhaustible? These resources are present in the unlimited quantity in the nature and are not like to be exhausted by the human activity. For example, sunlight and air. That means how long we are using sunlight and air, it is not going to be finished. The resources will be unlimited. We can use for a longer period of time, from so many years, and in the future also we can use for the so many years long. But exhaustible nature resource, that means the amount of this resource in the nature is limited. They can be exhausted by the human activity. For example, resources of the forest, wildlife, minerals, coal, petroleum, natural gas, etc. As nowadays you can learn that, you can listen that in the news and some other areas also, that forests are going to be cut. So due to the forest cut, what will happen? The nature and the uncertainty of the climate is occurs, and the global warming is the major effect of that forest. Some minerals are also going to be on the border of the finish, like coal and petroleum. Petrol is also going to be finished after a few years. That means these are some limited resources. If we are using for the longer time, it cannot be exist in the nature. So these are called exhaustible nature. One example is that coal. So how the coal is produced and how we are using it in our life, that we'll see. Here you can see the coal. You might have seen in your area also, and maybe in your home also. This is the coal, which is color in the black and weight is the light. You may have seen coal or heard about it. It is hard as stone and is black in the color. Coal is one of the fuels used to cook food. Nowadays we are using gas, but earlier when the people started cook food, at that time they were used coal for the natural resources we can get from the earth. Earlier it was used in the railway engine too, to produce the steam to run the engine, that you have seen in the different kind of the films, or in the net also you can see that earlier people used to coal to run the railway engines and some other areas also. Even in the companies, they are just firing the furnace. At that time furnace also they were using that coal. It is also used in the thermal power plants to produce the electricity. Nowadays also it used, but that use is little bit limited nowadays. Coal is also used as fuel in various industries, as I told you, to furnishing the light in the industries. So where do we get coal from and how is it formed? About 300 million years ago, the earth had dense forest in low-lying wetland areas. That means this is almost 300 million years ago. It is almost 3 crore years. It takes too much time to produce the coal inside the earth boundary. Due to natural process like flooding, these forests got buried under the soil. As most soil deposited over them and they were compressed. That means due to the pressure, that forest has been compressed into the earth. And the temperature also rose. As they sank deeper and deeper under the pressure and high temperature, dead plants got slowly converted to the coal. That means coal is nothing but a dead plant But this process took around about several years. It more than 300 million years ago. So if there is no forest is lying down in that, so what will happen? Coal will not produce in the future. So this is the very slow and long process. As coal contains mainly carbon, the slow process of conversion of dead vegetation into coal is called carbonization. So this point you have to remember. What is carbonization? A coal contains mainly carbon. The slow process of the conversion of the dead vegetation is coal is called the carbonization. Since it was formed from the remains of vegetation, coal is also called the fossil fuel. So what is fossil fuel? The fossil fuel is basically used to burning the different areas, and we are using for the getting the different energies. That's why it is called the fossil fuel. So how do we get the coal? We can get the coal from the coal mine. Here you can see the example of the coal mine. Around here we cannot see coal mine in our Gujarat, but some other areas of the country you can see the coal mine. The coal is basically take out from the several meters under of the earth. It can take out from the different resources also. When heated in air, coal burns and produce mainly carbon dioxide gas. As you know that whenever the charcoal or the coal burns, some black color gas will produce, and that is carbon dioxide. Coal is produced in the industry to get some useful products such as coke, coal tar and coal gas. That means with the help of the coal, we can produce some other useful product also. Let's see what is coke. It is tough, porous and black substance. Here we'll see the examples also. It is almost pure from the carbon. That means in the coke, the carbon is nil. Coke is used in the manufacture of steel and in the extraction of the many metals. That means from the coal, we can convert the coal into the coke, and coke is basically useful to manufacturing of the different kind of the metals. Second product of the coal is coal tar. This coal tar you can see here in the diagram. It is one black and a very thick one kind of the liquid. It is black thick liquid with the unpleasant smell. The smell of this coal tar is not pleasant. It is mixture of about 200 substance. That means in the coal tar is a combination of the more than 200 or 200 substance. Products obtained from the coal tar are used as straight material for starting material for manufacturing. It is basically used for the manufacturing product in the industries. Various substances used in the everyday life and in industry like synthetic dyes, drugs, explosives, perfumes, plastics, paint, photographic materials, roofing materials, etc. are basically made with the help of the coal tar. That means coal tar is also very useful materials to develop all these kind of industrial materials to use for the human life. Interestingly, naphthalene balls used to repel moths and the other insects are also obtained from the coal tar. You can see in your daily house also. So normally we are using coal tar on the one kind of the metal. So when the insect passes on that, it will be automatically stick on that and we can throw it outside. So this is also one use of that. Next product is petroleum, which is very much familiar and popular also in your case. You know that petrol is used as the fuel in light automobiles such as motorcycles, scooters and cars. But nowadays what happened? The fuels prices are going to be increased, and the quantity of the fuels, that is for petrol and diesels, are going to be decreased into the earth. So heavy motor vehicles like truck and tractors runs on the diesel, as you know it very well. Petrol and diesel are obtained from the natural resources called petroleum. As this is also natural resources, we can get it from the earth also, earth only. Coal gas, this is another material that is the natural, we can get it from the earth. Cool gas is obtained during the processing of the coal to get the coke. That means this is not directly we are getting from the earth, but while we are processing from coal to the coke, at that time the gas is basically produced. That is called coal gas. It is used as fuel in many industries situated near the coal processing plant. How petroleum is formed? This is also very important. It same like that the coal. Petroleum was formed from organisms living in the sea. As the as these organisms died, their bodies settled at the bottom of the sea and got covered with the layers of the sand and clay. These are the dead bodies of the different animals, sea animals. Over millions of years, absence of air, high temperature and high pressure transformed the dead organisms into the petroleum and the natural gases. That means petroleum is basically natural resources with the dead bodies of the different organisms into the earth also. Okay? So these are coal and the petroleum are basically what natural resources, and we can get it after the several years. Here is the one example of that. Look at the figure. It shows the deposited of the petroleum and natural gas. You see that the layer containing petroleum, oil and gas is above that of the water. As you can see in the diagram, this diagram is also there in your textbook, so you can see. This is one well you can see. As you can see in the diagram, one is the gas layer and second is the oil layer. Afterward, behind that, that is one water layer is also there. So how the petroleum we are getting from the earth, this is one diagram as you can see it over here. Recall that oil and gas are lighter than the water and do not mix with it. As you know that oil and gas do not mix with the water. It is basically lighter of the water. So they are on the water. They are not in the water or below the water. Thank you.